Joining us now is Lalthsa Cunningham. She is the Financial Capability Supervisor at JVS Human Services, talking to us about one of the free interactive webinars for Metro Detroiters coming up this Friday at noon called Financial Gratitude While Budgeting for the Holidays. Lalthsa, thanks for being with us today.
Tyler, thank you so much. And I want to say thank you again for having us. This is our second time here, and we definitely appreciate the support.
Absolutely. And you do great work over there at JVS Human Services, providing insight into a lot of life skills that either people never do develop because they're not taught them in school, or they don't learn them from their families growing up, or because things change in our society and it's tough to keep up with all these things in so many different directions. And so these services that you provide at JVS, especially webinars like this, these free webinars, really helpful to a lot of people, especially in the year that we're in right now, coming off of the pandemic, the thick of the pandemic in 2020, still in the middle of things in 2021. Some similar wrinkles, some different ones. It's still a really tough time financially for a lot of people, and the holidays don't help that in most cases either. So here you have the Financial Gratitude While Budgeting for the Holidays seminar coming up. It's this Friday, November 12th at noon. What are some of the things that people can learn or should expect to be able to learn about budgeting for the holidays in this seminar on Friday?
They're going to learn a lot of things. First, we also want to focus on really celebrating small wins. A lot of our participants have really gone through a tough time, as you stated, with the pandemic that we were in last year, and that is still continuing to this day. And it's really been tough on a lot of families and their budgets as well. And so, again, we're going to talk to them about celebrating some of the small wins that they've been able to accomplish during this time. But also, we want to help them focus on really staying in budget as the holiday season approaches. Once Halloween is over and done, we really start to see families begin to spend a lot of money as they wrap up the year, obviously with Thanksgiving celebration, and then we move into Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and things of those natures. And so that really takes an impact on their budget. So what we want to do this time, again, first show them that they should be, thankful for their small wins, but also help them create new small wins as well by managing their money, learning how to create that budget and really stick to it. And so we're going to give them some tools and tips on really, creating those lists for your grocery shopping. And again, just learning how to stay within the budget that they have set for the holidays. And many families probably have not set a budget, so we're asking them to do that as well.
And in terms of setting that budget for the holidays, what does your team, what sort of suggestions or tips and tricks, and without giving it all away, because you want people to, of course, to get all those details in this seminar, just on a basic level, what are some of those pieces of advice that you give to people, or you give to families, especially those that are on a tighter budget, so that they can still have the holiday season that they're looking for, and provide those gifts and those signs of love and other signs of appreciation that are typical during the holidays, while also not breaking the bank in the process?
Exactly. Well, I like that you talked about signs of love, because I think that's one thing that families need to do, especially when they feel like their finances are a little bit, low for the season, as it relates to spending. Learn how to give those gifts of love, but also to make a plan. I think one of the biggest things that families fail to do during this time is to actually have a plan on how much they want to spend, who they want to purchase things for during this time, and really focus on doing that first. Again, having that plan set in place.
We're joined by Lalthsa Cunningham. She's the Financial Capability Supervisor with JVS Human Services. Their free interactive webinar coming up this Friday, 12 noon, called Financial Gratitude While Budgeting for the Holidays. And so during the holiday season, a lot of people, in order to not break their budget, to continue to have the funds they need to pay their bills, may try to delay some of the payments on gifts or on food or on other items or things that they may be picking up for the holiday season specifically, and they may use their credit cards instead. What is some of the advice that JVS gives to families that may take that kind of a strategy, so that they don't go overboard with that and end up with a massive credit card debt as a result of the holiday season?
Yes, credit card debt is really, really huge during this time. So what we're asking to do is really try to focus on paying for things with cash, as opposed to using your credit cards. And we all know that if those balances aren't paid off within 30 days, you will inquire interest. And so that means you spent more on the actual gifts that you purchased. So again, we want them to focus on trying to pay for things with cash. But again, going back to making that list and setting a budget. I know a lot of times when we're out shopping, we plan to, buy one thing for a particular family member or friend, and then we end up buying additional items. So really, if you have a list and you make that budget out of how much you want to spend, focus on actually doing it. It gets really tough, when we're out shopping, you see a lot of things, and there's a little bit of impulsive buying, I guess, during this time, and just we want them to refrain from that. But again, if we could give our advice to anyone out there who is wanting to make purchases on their credit cards during that time, we ask that they try to pay for everything with cash. But if you must use your credit card, really try to focus on getting that payment back to the creditor within 30 days, and that way you won't have that additional interest that comes along with it. And then again, just focus on really using it responsibly. If you, again, I don't want to be redundant here, but it really goes all into creating that budget, making that list, and sticking to those plans.
Yeah, and it's a strategy. Using a credit card can be a strategy, but it can get out of hand, just like using your checking account or
very easily.
Cash. It can very easily get out of hand, and it affects you in a lot of other ways beyond not having the sufficient funds that you need to make ends meet when the bill does ultimately come due. It also can affect other things like your credit score and your ability to get loans and your ability to, if you're looking for to change your housing situation, that can also be a huge impact from going into that kind of debt because of your holiday purchases.
Absolutely. And we want them to really think about, when you purchase gifts for, your friends and your families and your loved ones during this time, we want them to really try to, whatever you pay for, or shall I say buy during this time, to have it paid for this year, and not take this 2021 debt over into 2022. A lot of families have a lot of debt that usually trickles over into the next year. We really want them to focus on getting it taken care of before you go into the new year and start the new year off fresh and without a lot of the old debt.
We're joined by Lalthsa Cunningham. She is the Financial Capability Supervisor at JVS Human Services. Again, they have a financial gratitude while budgeting for the holidays, in a free interactive webinar. That is coming up on Friday, November 12th. That is this week, Friday at 12 noon. You can learn more and register for the event at jvshumanservices.org or by sending an email to financialhelp@jvshumanservices.org. Again, that is financialhelp@jvshumanservices.org. And so in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously has had a huge impact on people's finances across the board in a number of different ways, whether it be because of job loss or because of job change. Budgeting has of course had the change as people's work situations and family situations and other financial situations have been modified as a result of the pandemic. What are some of the ways that it's affected how families are able to try and invest in the future as opposed to just getting by day to day? And then on top of that, impacting, of course, then the holiday situation as well.
And most families are really, Tyler, they're really at that point where a lot of them are really just budgeting and living, unfortunately, paycheck to paycheck. But what we really, want to hone into our participants is, again, reviewing that budget. If you're not making one, first to start it, but if you are making one, to review it on a regular basis so you can see where you can make those cuts at. It's really tough for families, but think about everything that's coming out of your banking account, thinking about spending unnecessary spending, things that you probably could have waited for. We really want them to focus on all of their needs versus their wants. There will be a time where you will be able to get your wants, but when you're having, issues, and you're living, paycheck to paycheck for some of the families, again, it's that time you want to go into your emergency budget mode and just really focus on all of the needs versus the wants. The holidays are here. There is a lot of things that we can do besides gift. We can, give gifts of service, is one thing that we recommend to some of our participants if their funds aren't there, but we really don't recommend them buying things when it's not in the budget. And again, if there are things that you must purchase for, friends and families and loved ones, maybe reduce that amount of what you would normally spend on them.
We're joined by Lalthsa Cunningham, the Financial Capability Supervisor at JVS Human Services. You can register for their free interactive financial gratitude while budgeting for the holiday seminar. That is coming up on this Friday, November 12th at 12 noon. Again, that is a free seminar. You can register in a couple of different ways. Financial help at jvshumanservices.org or just by visiting their website and learning more about the event at jvshumanservices.org. So, Laltsha, I would assume that you're going to be part of this free interactive webinar. There are going to be other people, other experts that people will be able to pick the brains of, and who may some of those be?
My staff and I have a staff of 3 amazing counselors who love to teach, participants about money, and so they will be alongside with me. And we all bring a little bit, different to the meeting, so they'll get a variety of, information from all of us. But I also wanted to mention that we have another webinar coming up December 10th. It's called I Spent Too Much Money, Now What? And so that'll give you some tips because, there are some families, unfortunately, that will still overspend. And so we wanted to have a webinar for them as well, just to, once you have figured out that you've overspent, some tips that we'll have for you in order to move forward with, getting back on track, getting back within that budget. And, again, it's our goal here to really help families during this time, not only just to manage their money for, this holiday season, but, long term. It's really important that families go to using a budget if they're not using a budget, because, again, it helps you learn how to manage your money, to be able to make your payments on time, and even be able to save. And so those are things that are really important as we go forward into the new year.
Laltsha, just another couple of minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to consider going into the holiday seasons financially, or anything else you'd like to talk about in terms of the free interactive webinar that's coming up this Friday at noon?
I just encourage, the audience to go to jvshumanservices.org. We have many programs that will really help assist them during this time. All of our webinars are free with the exception of our homeownership classes, which are done on a bi-monthly basis. But again, we offer group workshops. And then if there's participants out here that are interested in to have some individual counseling, we are open for that as well. We have those appointments available, and they're free as well. They're all complimentary. And so if you are in need of these services, don't hesitate to reach out, because this is information that, again, goes beyond the holiday season. It can really help you in the long term, and not only just you, but your family as well.
Well, Laltsha, we appreciate your time. Thank you for previewing this free seminar. It's going to be a big help to a lot of people heading into the holiday season this Friday.
Thank you so much for having us again. We definitely appreciate it.